On this episode of Southall Computing, we're going to be looking at the Rove R2 dash cam, and that's coming up next. Hey YouTube, Dan from Southall Computing, and today we're going to be looking at the Rove R2 dashcam camera. So it's been a solid, I want to say at least a good 4 years before I've even looked at a different dashcam, and the one that I've been using for a while now is a super basic, super cheap dashcam camera, and I haven't had any complaints other than the ability to actually read license plates. And the common practice these days is just to call out, provided that you have the audio being recorded while you're driving, the license plate of an offender, just in case you can't read it on the screen. About a couple of months ago, Linus Tech Tips did a bunch of these cameras, and they found that pretty much all the sensors are primarily the same for video capture on these cameras. So it's not too surprising that all the super cheap ones have similar video quality. So what intrigued me with the Rove R2 here is it basically also has GPS tracking for speed detection, as well as a nice little app to retrieve videos. That's always been a point of contention for me with getting footage, because then I would have to take the camera out of the car or remove the SD card or micro SD card and then pop it into the machine. But if this guy is capable of doing it with an app over Bluetooth, that's a lot better in my book, and I could just, basically send it off in an email to myself, and that makes retrieving the footage that much easier. Also, in the event of, say, an accident, you also have the ability to punch up the video and make it larger for law enforcement. So, like we always do in previous dashcam camera reviews, let's crack this box open and see what we got inside. So what do we have in the box? So obviously we have the camera. We have our USB type A to micro USB, obviously for the car connection. We have what I would only assume is if you wanted to connect the camera to your computer, the micro USB to USB type A shorter cable here. Suction cup mount, that's basically a twist on. Before I go any further, I completely forgot to mention the price point on this camera here. By no means is this a cheap camera. This thing was about, what was it, $120 when I bought it, give or take. I'll put up the actual price with tax and shipping here on the screen. All right, so now that I got the price out of the way here, this is kind of unique. I don't know if this is standard for the, more expensive line of dash cam cameras here. This guy here for the cigarette light adapter, we actually have two USB ports, which is kind of nice if this is the only means of power internally in the cabin in your particular car. I'm going to assume this is a mount for on the actual dashboard. It's got very strong 3M adhesive double-sided tape on here as well. And we have a bag of these clips here, which I love, so the cables aren't dangling everywhere, where you could put in discrete locations to help consolidate the excess cable that might be dangling everywhere, in other words. So you can put multiples of these clips all around, so this way it helps give it a cleaner look rather than having a cable just hanging out all over the dashboard. You get a very little unique pry bar here. I guess if in the event that you can't get either the suction cup or the dash mount loose, this guy here will help or aid you into removing either one if it's super sticky and stuck. Now this here is interesting. It says peel off of this film before applying. It says it's a electrostatic film for 3M sticky mount. Of course, we have our manual here. You also have something here to activate your warranty, the QR code for calling customer service. Oh, this is interesting. It actually gives you a memory card error and how to resolve those. So basically with this guy, it's pretty much an $80 to $90 jump over what of a dash cam that I would normally buy. Let me get a memory card and some power to this guy, and let's see what we find. So if you ever seen my previous dashcam videos, you know how I like to roll. I'll just fire it up without even looking at the manual here and just see what we find. I did happen to have a higher capacity SD card and I know it's a couple of years old, but let's have a look on what we have. All right, so it is a SanDisk Ultra 128 gig card. I hope that's appropriate speed for the 4K quote-unquote capture resolution. Yeah, that's what we'll be putting into the camera. Oh, interesting. So when you look at the actual text here on the microSD card slot, it'll tell you it needs a class 10 or speed U3. Before we fire this guy up, let's just give a quick tutorial of the actual layout. So obviously that's the power button, micro SD card slot. This here is the GPS sensor to help coordinate your current speed in your vehicle. We're going to remove this cover. Obviously this USB port is what we will be powering the camera while it's in operation, or if you're hooking it up to a computer. I guess this is a micro HDMI port, I believe. On the bottom of the camera, you'll have your serial number, which I'm covering mine, an opening for the microphone itself, reset button right over there. Oh, interesting. So it actually has a analog TV out port on the top as well. So we have a bunch of buttons on the very bottom of the screen here for menu. That looks like an up icon, what looks to be an emergency icon, and it says emergency lock. Oh, so all these have subcategories. So not only that it goes up, when recording, this is mute, that is mode or back, emergency lock, LCD off, record and confirm. And obviously again, menu up, maybe emergency recording, down, and the OK button. So let's get some power into this guy and see what we got. Way to go, Dan. I wasn't even recording for that first part, so nice job. What I just finished saying was my little adapter, which was this guy over here, did not provide enough amperage. It was basically a cheapo thing that I just grabbed on the side of the shop here. And I had to hook up my AC to cigarette light adapter contraption here just to get enough amperage to get this guy to fire up. But basically, the screen came up, it asked if I wanted to format the card, and it's actually got a lot of pre-recorded voice prompts. So it just told me that this guy was formatted successfully in a British accent. And all I did was hit the OK button here on the bottom. I'm gonna hit OK. So it wants to manually set the time zone. I think we could do that. Let me say OK to manual. Okay, so other than the clock and formatting, I guess that's it. So let's hit next. Interesting, so it's ready to go. Oh, and look at that. It's already started recording. Cool. And I like that it has the mile per hour gauge right over there too. That's pretty neat. So, okay, we'll stop it. And as you can see, this guy had 0 battery, so we're gonna have to let this charge for a while as well. But let me go into menu and see what kind of options we have here.
Video settings.
It loves to give you those voice prompts, huh? Let's go down one into resolution and see what it's currently set. It's set at 1080p at 60 frames a second. You know what? I don't hate that. I guess I will keep that for now. Let's go down to recording loop. Basically, it creates a new file every 1 minute. Actually, you know what? No, I wanted to do it every 3 minutes. I didn't look at the manual. I'm just doing this on the fly just to see what this stuff looks like. WDR. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Exposure, if you wanted to manually set that. On the cheap cameras, you have to, especially when it comes to night vision. I'm gonna leave this all stock for now just to see what the night vision gives us. That's pretty cool that you have the ability to do a time-lapse record. Parking mode. Oh yes, parking mode is basically where it has a G sensor that if it detects any sort of jolt or movement when it's off, obviously it's going to activate the recorder. I'm going to keep that off for now. 24 auto park mode. Wow, this thing is just full of features. So 1 frame per second and G-Sense recording, motion detect. Wow, this thing has got so many cool features. Obviously recording audio, we want that on. Timestamp, date, time, speed, GPS coordinates. Oh, remove the logo. Yeah, we don't want that. G-sensor speed unit. What is this? Oh yes, we want it in miles per hour. Hide icon status. Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't want that to hide any icons. Live speed, where you want to see it on the screen while you're driving. Distortion correction. Wow, okay. It's actually off. So basically, I'm sure this is because the wide angle of these lenses, essentially, it's going to look distorted, almost like if you're looking at a fishbowl. So that's actually pretty interesting. Nice. The ability to rotate the video if you have the camera in a different orientation. And that's it for that. Cool. So now... System settings. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is off. Date and time. Okay. Date format. And it goes month, date, year. Got it. Clock format. GPS time zone settings. screensaver. So this is whether or not you always want the screen on. Usually I have it turned off. I don't know if I want to keep that. You know what? I'm going to keep that on for a while just to see what it does. Typically I'll have it on the screensaver off on, you know, after a minute or two. So we'll keep it on for now just to see what it looks like. Beep sound. Now currently, let's see what the speaker volume is at. Is that medium? Okay, that's fine. Boot up tone. Oh, that's pretty funny. Language mode. I don't think we need to do. What is that down there? Okay, so TV mode. Yep, that's for the US users, the NTSC. License plate. What is this? Oh, maybe my license plate. Yeah, I don't. That's probably if I wanted to input my license plate, I guess. Frequency 60 hertz. That's what the standard is here in the US. Nice. It actually gives you all the satellite information for the GPS recording. Storage information, that's pretty cool. Detects the entire capacity of the SD card and even breaks it down in events, movies, and pictures. Pretty cool. Shutdown delay, okay. It's automatically set to 5 seconds, that's fine with me. Format reminder, interesting. It wants to reformat every certain amount of days. Format, I'm thinking that's just to format the card. Yep, we don't need to do that again. Default settings, I guess if you want to revert to the default settings. Yep, yeah, we don't want to touch that. And lastly, the firmware version. You know what? That's fairly new. I want to actually see if there's a newer version of this guy, because if there is, I want to be on the latest and greatest. So 3.3.22 version 5. So right away, once I went back, it immediately started recording at 60 frames. And I'm going to say okay to stop. What I'm probably going to end up doing right here is turning this off so to get the battery to charge a little bit quicker. And basically I'm going to see if there's a newer version of the firmware for this guy, and we're going to get that installed if there is. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back and we checked the firmware version, and good thing I checked because apparently certain early models of this particular dash cam here did have a firmware issue where the speed and timestamps would get stuck frozen on the screen, and you're required to update the firmware. But once I entered the good old serial number on this guy, that was not the case for this camera. Essentially at this point I'm going to let this guy charge overnight. I'm gonna turn them off real quick. One thing to note here, if the light is green while it's plugged in, it means it is charging the battery, and this light will turn red when it's fully charged. It's kind of the opposite what I would expect for the color scheme for this guy here, but it is what it is. So we'll let this charge overnight and we'll do a test tomorrow. So we'll be back. But yeah, the screen always being on, I think it's fine during the day, but at night I don't know if I'd like that. And quite honestly, I pretty much have all my dash cams turn off the display after a certain amount of time anyway. But I do like that we're getting a huge screen, or no, a huge font indicating what the speed is on the GPS. And compared to the car speed, it's pretty spot on. There's a little delay, as Brooke pointed out before, with it keeping up with the actual speed, which is to be expected with tracking by GPS, I guess. But yeah, we're going to go on a little adventure, and we're going to get some sandwiches for lunch and take a look at this video quality when we get back to the lab. Okay, so this is the 2560 by 1440p resolution at 30 frames a second. We're just gonna use this for a little trip down the road. I remember when this wine place opened. I can't believe how fast it finds the GPS. They've come a long way with that tech. We're at the 28, oh, there we go. Now we're at the 2880 resolution, only 24 frames a second. Obviously, I'm sure the memory card can't keep up with that, but it's by 2160. And yeah, we're just going to do a little comparison here as well while we're driving around. I'm sure the file size is going to be a heck of a lot larger, that's for sure. Oh my gosh, the memories. I think it was further down this road. And then when we get to the other place, I'll put it back into the other video mode. Wow, what a beautiful landscape.
It would be cool to take pictures here.
Yeah, absolutely. Ah, okay, yeah. So over here was a park where they had the community garden. Yeah. I think, or is it a little further down? I honestly can't remember. It's been so long. Yeah, I think it's a little further down. I didn't go down on the menus far enough. There was additional resolutions that you could select, and I just chose the 1080p 30 frames a second. Quite honestly, I don't need that many frames per second, and essentially making the file sizes that much larger. Do you want to see if we could, I could figure out how to get to Grandpa's old condo?
Yeah.
Yeah? Alright. I want to say it's left and then right up there. I don't think it's that one. I'm gonna open up the windows a little bit. Or is it this one? No, that's a parking lot. Yeah, I want to say it's down this road. Man, we got a lot of sun glare.
Grandpa is on the one in Arkansas?
No, your great-grandfather, sorry. Where Grandma used to live. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I need to put my shades on. Way better. So, they basically live on a golf course. Take care of this. Alright, so here's our nighttime test. And, looks pretty darn good, but obviously I'm not going to know until I review this footage, but not enough. Apparently, whatever I ate is not cooperating. So there's not a lot of light on this road, which is nice, and I'm curious to see how this camera's sensor handles the low-level lights. Actually, I think this road has a nice balance of both street lights and not street lights, so this will be very interesting to review. Okay, so conclusion time. What do I think of the Rove R2-4K compared to what I was running before, which was this guy here, the Goods DTS $20 quote-unquote 1080p dash cam? The video quality on this guy here is like a night and day difference from what I had from this dash cam, which is almost about 3 years old now, I believe. Audio quality was pretty much on par what I expect. Some of these dash cams unfortunately overdrive the microphone sensitivity, which could drive you nuts if you're trying to hear what's going on inside of your car cabin. I do like how quickly the GPS sensor picks up your location. In most cases, the GPS will pick up your location within 30 seconds without issue, but that's pretty much the worst case scenario. Let me just say a thing about nighttime vision on this guy. I was extremely impressed on how well everything looked with nighttime footage. The Rove app is pretty cool. One of my only issues that I'm running into, and I don't know if it's because I basically upgraded my phone to iOS 16 and the app just hasn't been updated for that. If I go into the dashcam videos and I go to videos, while I'm getting all these wonderful previews, I'd like to be able to view the footage. So if I click on this guy, the videos never seem to load. So my only option at this point is if I want to be able to view the actual video itself, I have to hit the 3 dots in the upper right hand corner and download it to my phone. So again, the videos won't play in the actual Rove app, and I'm not sure if that's because I upgraded to iOS 16. Unfortunately, I don't have any devices running iOS 15 to see if this feature works correctly there. Hopefully this will be resolved in a future update, but again, you still have the option to download the video and then pull it up in your photo library and play it out that way. But interesting enough, it does give you the previews of the file, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. So final thoughts here. Do I like the Rove R2-4K? Yes, I really do love it. But the question is, can you afford it? So currently, I mean, we're at October 30th of 2020, and the current price point for this camera here is about 120 bucks, and obviously you got to include tax. So we're above $100 for a dash cam. In my honest opinion, if you could afford it, absolutely get this camera. But as always, if money's tight, getting a cheap dash cam clearly is better than nothing. But man, this guy here completely destroys the cheap knockoff cameras that you may find on eBay or on Amazon. Well, that pretty much wraps things up over here. As always, if you like what you've seen here, please give this video a nice like, subscribe to the channel, and join our forums. It will be greatly appreciated. This is Dan from Southhawk Computing, and until the next time.